I'm Molly Weiss.
And I'm Blake Wood from InvestNet.
And we are live at Future Proof, and we're joined by Marla Sofer, founder and CEO of Nomi. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you guys for the invite. I'm thrilled to be here on this gorgeous day. Thanks.
Lovely Huntington Beach. So from your perspective, what's the biggest shift happening in wealth tech today, and how are you and your company helping advisors and investors adapt?
The biggest shift happening in wealth, I think, is everyone is waking up to see it's not about the product. It's about the client.
What?
Yes, I know. We have all these amazing products and models and tools and the best portfolios on the planet. If it doesn't resonate with your client, it doesn't matter. And so I'm super excited about this client-centric, behavioral finance-driven. What do they care about? How are you positioning what you sell to differentiate your offering so that you can meet what's coming down the road? Because your clients of the future, they all can get the same products. That is like looking over the cliff of commoditization, and everyone's in this rush to kind of getting more generic. And honestly, if you're using AI tools, guess what's training the AI? You're just getting even more generic. But if you get better data and you understand your clients more deeply, now we're talking. And I think that awakening is starting to happen. People want to talk about the fluffy stuff. It used to be considered soft. We don't ask about emotions. We don't ask about values. We don't ask about how you're feeling. We don't even know how to do that. We've never been trained. We're not PhD or psychologists. That's changing. And I think it has to change.
Well, so speaking of how clients feel and what clients might care about, tell us a little bit about Nomi. Give us your elevator pitch.
Awesome. So advisors know their clients. They're excellent at knowing their clients. They build relationships. They know how to build a bridge and get to know their clients as well as possible. The knowledge doesn't scale. And the knowledge doesn't scale across the team or even across that client's household. So what we're seeing and what Nomi solves is how do you enable that knowledge of your client to scale, not only at a point of onboarding and intake, but between meetings, but when something's happening in that client's life. So Nomi is a behavioral data platform that enables knowledge to scale. It enables everything you need to know about that client to be plugged into the system that needs to know it, to the person that needs to know it. It helps you connect with the broader household and gather that data in real time, going back to differentiate your business, to be there when the client needs you, when they're going through that change. So I've spent 25 years in the industry. I was a licensed advisor many moons ago. And then I worked in the guts of the investment industry. I worked at JP Morgan for 6 years, serving asset managers. I worked at BlackRock for 5 years and overseeing everything that goes into portfolio construction, all of the deep, ugly ops of how that actually works. And then I spent the last decade in fintech. And what I learned is the tools exist. You can actually do a personalized portfolio, SMA, UMA for all. Tools are there. The knowledge of the client is not. The deep, detailed understanding of what does the client care about and how do I deploy this tool or the right tool at the right time for the right client in the right way that resonates with that client, everyone's guessing. They're trying to do their best. It doesn't work. And so advisors here, I've talked to a lot of advisors and our own customers. That is their challenge. I built a business. Now I'm trying to convert myself to a CEO, but nobody's having that conversation that I know I can have. But they're one person. They can't do that at scale. They can't meet with the client and the client's partner and the client's kids and get that same rich depth of knowledge. And they can't do it multiple times a year consistently. So that's where Nomi comes in. We're a tool that helps them do that. We power an advice-driven future. We want humans in the mix because trust and relationships and emotions require the human. But just like you use AI to help you write, you use Nomi to help you deliver better advice. And wouldn't it be so lovely if the conversation was like, Molly, I know you're getting ready to send your kids to college. You must be going through so many emotions, so many fears, so many things that are running through your mind.
Not just paying for college, but the
whole
gamut.
Preparing them to be adults and to being independent. How do I help them with budgeting? How do I help? Honestly, struggling with that myself. So how do I actually guide this transition in my life? You're beating the S&P, you're not beating the S&P. Table stakes. I can read about that. I don't need your time and your attention for that. I need you to help me work through this problem that is relevant to me right now. Are you showing up for me when I need you? I'm going through a change. Sometimes it's an anticipated change, often it's not. And so, how do you make sure that the advisor is showing up each time in a way that you, as the client, feel like they get me? They get me, they're giving me value. Like, I totally trust that my advisor understands my deep emotional relationship with money and is showing up for me time and again. So that trust is kind of compounding on itself. And then when that inevitable shift happens and you get a big windfall, they're like, we built up all of this rapport over time because I showed up, I showed up, I showed up, I showed up. I'm sticking around. I'm an all-in client. You got something on your menu for me? I'm there.
Yeah. Love it.
So to paraphrase what I'm hearing, the IQ side of how we've built businesses in our industry for decades is scaled, it's solved. What we're trying to solve is how do we scale the EQ side of the business for maybe that CEO who's grown up, had those conversations. How do we help them train that next level advisor, the advisors coming in? How does Nomi help connect the values of the clients to the investments? And I'm really interested to hear the feedback you've been getting from our industry that's grown up in a way that may have served us in the past, but isn't going to serve us going forward.
That's an excellent question. So I feel that the IQ is there. Think about what AI is doing. Like, you ask somebody to tell you anything about your investing. You can ask your advisor, you can ask your AI, which one knows you better? In 99% of the times, it's the AI. Like, wait.
He knows everything about me.
Yeah, I bet. And he knows how you're feeling and he knows your anxieties.
Yeah.
And if you ask, like, what am I anxious about? What do I want to talk about today? Your AI is there. How are we getting the values, to your question? And how does that apply to the investments and why does it matter, right? Is that your question? Okay. So advisors are not trained today to have a conversation about values. It makes a lot of them really uncomfortable. They're trained to sell products. They're trained to talk about, I am best at managing your portfolio because I construct a better portfolio. I have better return rates. I have this many clients coming back to me. That's a better measure. But they're trained to sell a product. They are not trained listeners. They're not trained to go into a meeting and have the right questions at the right time. And I got to say, even when they are, they're still human. And so they're not doing it consistently from one to the next. So how do we do it? We use what are called short, tiny digital adventures. And the digital adventures are deeply informed by academia and behavioral science. They are digestible. They are not surveys. They're not assessments. They're not questionnaires. They're fun. They're not pain. Going through an assessment or answering a long questionnaire, that's pain. Like, that's work. Your client doesn't want to do more work. They're hiring you to solve their problem. So what we did is we learned from wellness apps on the market. We learned from Strava, Noom, Hinge. Any Hinge users? Hinge is an awesome one. Why? Because dating apps gather deep, deep data. The job of a dating app is to build your profile. The job of Nomi is to build your profile. So you are incentivized to share your profile on Hinge because you want a good match. You're incentivized to share your profile on Nomi because you want to get more value out of this high trusted relationship. So we learned from those apps. They're fun. They're gamified. They're throwing images and AI and all kinds of fun things at you. They're giving you value. How many people are like me? Why does it matter to the investments? So we've learned something in the last decade and a half about trying to sell into people's values without knowing their values. I feel the way I talk about ESG is well-intended concept. We threw darts at the dartboard. None of them hit the dartboard. They fell all over the ground because you can't sell into values without knowing values. Until you deeply understand what somebody means by their value of the environment and sell into that one person, you're not coming through on that promise to align with your values. But what if you had at scale, how many people actually mean that they want to pull plastics out of the oceans? I got a product for that. How many people mean that they want more women CEOs at the head of companies? I got a product for that. But until you get to the heart of what do they mean by that, one by one, and then you have that data at scale across your business, you're missing the linkage, the bridge between the client, the distribution, and the product.
So if you talked a little bit about an investor getting a windfall and sticking with their financial advisor, but maybe what are some other ways that an advisor can sort of measure the value of bringing in this sort of deeply knowledgeable profiling experience with their advisor to their business or to kind of the end of the day value that they're delivering to their clients?
Yeah. I wish more advisors measured depth of engagement. How many of my clients are all in? How many of my clients do I feel like, oh, I'm starting a new alternative, you know, asset allocation, and I know exactly who's going to buy it. I bet they know it in their head. How much data and tracking in their system is there to say, these are my all-in clients? If something happens to that advisor and it's just his team left, how much of his team know who are the all-in clients? So there's a depth of engagement measure. There's obvious ones like number of referrals, but not all client personalities are referring types of clients. It doesn't mean they're unhappy. It doesn't mean they're not an all-in client. But referrals basically is like, are they promoting you outside of you? I'm very much a referral. I don't know if you guys read The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. It's all about knowing who's the person that goes into the bar and is like, oh, I just found this great product. You all have to talk to my financial advisor. That is only one persona. It's finding this persona in the tipping point that's going to be your referral channel over and over again. The other thing is, how deep is the planning you're doing? Are you linking your entire planning portfolio, everything you're offering, on two numbers, the age they retire and the age they die? That's not very deep. That is like a financial plan can go this deep. How deep is yours? How deep is what you're delivering to your clients? How many factors and components of that client's life, not your products and not your different allocation opportunities, how many components of their life and their emotions and what matters to them are you tracking to deliver this depth of financial plan? Not just the arbitrary age of retirement and the arbitrary age of death.
We think Nomi's cool, which is why you're here. But can you name one company that you think is doing something really great for the industry?
So a company that I love, that I think is an inspiration to Nomi, and who I think they're doing something so cool, is Clear. Like, Clear started with, what is the incentive to get you to share some data? We're going to start with rushing you through airport lines. If anyone's been tracking Clear, you can open bank accounts. You can use it with your doctor. It is this concept. You can get into concerts. Like, this concept of, I own and create my data profile, and I choose when to receive the value I determine as valuable through it. Getting through an airport line was just the wedge. I love that. And I feel like one day, maybe, Clear, if you're listening, you may want to take a look at Nomi. We are going to be the financial component of what Clear is building toward. So I'm very inspired by what you guys are doing. So the AI looking across the stack and helping you do what you want to do based off of what we know about your advisory experience. I just love some of the new stuff coming down the pipe at InvestNet. I think what you're looking at and what the opportunity you offer is, you've got so many kind of point solutions and you've got some bigger, chunkier solutions. And you're saying, we're going to help you deliver an outcome because we know all of what you're doing in all these different parts, and you're bringing it together. And I think that is the future of the orchestration layer on top of all of the different hundreds of vendors you see here. And because you've got the pieces in-house and through partnerships, you guys can do it. And so I'm excited about what you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Any books, podcasts, movies, series that you're super excited about at the moment?
Yes. So this is super geeky CEO, founder stuff. So I drove down from the Bay Area and I listened to a very oldie but goodie founder book called Positioning. So it's by a guy named Al Reese. And it's all about the science of positioning. It's very Madison Avenue, like advertising. Like, he talks about how strong GE and General Motors are. It's that era. And IBM. And it's just that concept of positioning is so brilliant. And it's like, to whittle it down, it is, you have to know where your solution is clicking into the problem that already exists in your listener's head. Where is there the gap that your puzzle piece needs to fill? Doesn't matter what you want to say. It matters what problem they want to fill. And then I would say a quick follow on and how I got to the book is a guy named Christopher Lockheed. And he has this whole premise around category creation. Nomi is a hard company to introduce to the world because there's nothing doing what we're doing. It's category creation. Now, there's an awesome side of category creation, which is usually if you're the first to win it, you pretty much have a lot of market share if you're able to execute and get there fast enough. The bad side is you carry all the weight of telling the narrative to the market. It's like on you to tell the story. It's not like, oh, I'm a bank for women. I am a financial advisor focused on dentists. Like, I already know what a financial advisor is. I get how you would focus on dentists, but that's how dentists are paid. So category creation and positioning are like very top of mind for me.
We might know something about category creation at InvestNet, albeit a long time ago.
Yes.
We were a creator of a category. That's super fascinating.
Yeah.
Love that.
I love that point of view. So let's jump into some rapid fire questions.
Do it.
So for client communications, text, video, or in person, what do you think clients actually want?
Oh, is that a trick question? I think you set that one up. Ask the client. Like, text, video, or in person depends who you're talking to. Just like, yeah, it's like every financial question on the planet. Which financial product is right for me? Which type of engagement is right for me?
Know what
Answer
your
is
client
100%
values?
of the time, it depends. 100% of the answers are, it depends. And if you don't know your client's answer to that, and you're just going to say, we're going to do blah, 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 or blah, then you're missing out on the clients that wanted something different.
Spot on. My mother wants her quarterly lunch, and I want text messages.
Yeah. Yeah. And how, as an advisor, do I have you in the same household and recognize, wait, if I'm talking to Blake's mom, I want her to come in and go out to lunch with me and chit chat a little bit about all things. But if I'm talking to Blake in that same household, it's just text. And so how does an advisor adapt?
Yeah, love that. All right, and maybe another setup, but AI for advisors. Is it Copilot, disruptor, non-event?
Yeah, certainly not a non-event. It is honestly, I would tell you right now, I don't know if you saw my LinkedIn post yesterday, it's a shiny object distraction. Does that mean you should ignore it? Hell no. Sorry for the cursing. No, don't ignore it. AI is the analogy of like, if I'm a writer or a journalist, am I not going to try AI to help me write? Of course I'm going to try AI to help me write. It doesn't mean I'm going to produce and publish everything that AI writes. That's a great opportunity to kill your reputation and never get seen again now that algorithms are looking for AI written content. If I'm an advisor looking to deliver and I'm ignoring AI and not looking at it as a tool to help me do my job, then you're kind of like that journalist or writer who's not looking at AI to help them do their job.
Or it reminds me of 30 years ago, somebody being like, internet, disruptor or not.
Right.
It's like, it's just part of life now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next one that is probably on half the slide decks I ever see, the great wealth transfer. Is it going to reshape our industry or overhead?
I think it's already reshaping the industry. And I think that so my dad is a financial advisor. You know this, Molly. He's been an advisor since 1984. And when I speak to my dad about the good old days, my dad was a stockbroker, and he sold stocks for commissions. And then he was very proud to be like the first fiduciary rep as PM at Merrill Lynch, or one of the first that had the license to actually have an all-in AUM fee. Those are those small things. When you think about the great wealth transfer, I will generalize that and say, please forgive the assumptions, but we're of the same generation. Our kids are of a totally different generation. The 62-year-old, the 53-year-old client, all of my girlfriends who are in their late 40s to early 60s, the first thing they do is fire their parents' advisor. And it's not when their parents die often. It's when they're like, my parent has, they're kind of starting to dwindle. Someone's got to manage this money. It's not working. What they were doing before is not working. My daughter, talk about meeting at lunch or text. My daughter's got totally different demands. And she's like, no, you did need to be in the channels that I'm in and engage me in the way that I want. It might not be text. In fact, it probably isn't text. And so you have to actually look at all of the dynamics in this intergenerational transfer of wealth and recognize, how does that change my engagement, my product, my communication, my marketing, my tech stack, my clients that I hire, my advisors that I bring on, the type of team that I need, and what they're going to be doing. It changes everything.
I can't wait for your answer to this one. So if there's one piece of old wealth management that you could throw out forever, which one would it be?
One piece of old wealth management I would throw out forever. I was going to say a snarky thing like backslapping. Backslapping in golf dates.
Snarky's good. We like snarky. Blake and I are snarky.
No, I think it is one piece of wealth management that needs to go away forever is just focusing on the product and the portfolio and comparing yourself to an arbitrary market measure. So at BlackRock, I was responsible for data and index. I got to tell you guys, the portfolio managers are often the creators of the index. Independent note, they're quite arbitrary. They're selling you a product. And so if you think about the future, what I hope happens is people say, what I helped you do, Molly, is I helped you feel calm as you were transitioning your kids into college. I helped you realize you have the tools to make the right decisions and set them up for this transition into adulthood and independent living. And here's how we did it. And then you're going to be like, oh my God, I love this advisor. He helped me go through this life event in a way that just made me just love that person. And so it's that conversation shift. And a lot of the leading advisors here, the big ones that are growing, they've been doing it for a while. They don't talk about the portfolio anymore. It's kind of like, and many of them, I'm sure they say this to you. We fire clients. We don't want clients who are looking for me to beat a benchmark. That's not what we do. We help you plan your life. And if you're not here to help me plan your life, then you're not a right client for me.
I love that.
Love it. Thank you, Marla, for a great conversation. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
And that was Marla Sofa with Know Me, founder and CEO.